I've written recently an editorial. There's three kinds of products, or I believe we should have now a classification with three kinds of products. One that is the autologous, that where you produce the patient's product and reinfuse. The other one is the in vivo, and the other one is the allogeneic with optimized cell sourcing and gene engineering. Those three will be part of cell and gene therapy. We talked about the in vivo. I think the off-the-shelf allogeneic gene engineered is going to be a booming additional approach in cell and gene therapy because it's also, as I said, off-the-shelf single treatment in line with pharma model. And then we come to the autologous, where you do the engineering and then reinfuse. And that's bringing a lot of clinical value, but has been challenging on terms of the manufacturing, in terms of reach, distribution. And so we're seeing improvements in the technology, automation, closed systems that in AI, in terms of managing the data, that will enable us to bring the manufacturing closer and closer to the patient, closer and closer to areas where there's less, big centers of reference. And so that's going to enable the business model of the autologous product therapy. And so I'm quite pleased to see that while on one side the big players are choosing those products that fit their business model. The payers should start thinking about the long-term benefit, and the manufacturing developments are still enabling those very useful and already proven to deliver clinical value products that are the autologous manufactured products, where these developments are enabling them, validating that business model, and becoming more and more a decentralized approach close to the patient, still giving us the opportunity to bring that value to those patients in need.
I always wonder what we talk about when we talk about decentralized. Are we talking about community hospitals? Are we talking about community oncologists and what that level looks like? What I am most interested in is the decentralized distribution. How do we get more of the therapies into the community hospitals, into the community oncologists? It doesn't necessarily have to be automation and manufacturing on site at this time. I think that we are working towards that. There's a lot of scaling going on. There's a lot of initiatives going on, a lot of new tools and technology. However, to truly get decentralized to the patient, I believe it's going to be in waves. And the first wave that I personally would like to see is delivery in a community setting so that people in rural areas don't have to travel to an academic institution. The community doctors don't lose their patients to the academic institutions, and people are more apt to adopt therapies if it's less disruptive to their life and they have the familiar support around them.
I think we are currently there. We're making it more scalable. We're making it more repeatable through automation, yes, but also through operational excellence and operational efficiency. And the difficult funding environment has forced groups to have a better plan for how they're going to scale their manufacturing. And it is a combination of automation, yes, but I think more critically and most critically, and finally, a topic of conversation is how can you do this operationally at an efficient level and be a good manufacturing company. So at Scale Ready, we launched a grant program a few years ago, and now we're basically on tour showing the work that we've helped groups to advance their manufacturing, again, through adoption of automation pieces, but more importantly, just simplifying and streamlining the actual manufacturing process. And I will say that the decentralization approach is now in play, and that's because the technology has advanced. So there's great systems out there. There's ways to link technology together to do it in a simple, repeatable process. And if you can do that and prove that at hospital systems in different countries in Europe or at academic medical centers in the US, which we've been doing, it's a real viable option now. But I would say that, again, through simplification of the process and critical parts that we're automating, the large scale centralized approaches now, we've gotten a lot more efficient. So we're making CAR Ts more effectively at scale than we were in 2017.
This is my favorite question. I think we are on the cusp of something big in the automation and scalability of the manufacture of cell therapies. I think gene therapy is a little bit different. If you kind of split cell and gene a little bit, autologous cell therapies, ex vivo, have been extremely difficult and an extreme challenge for the industry. We have personalized medicines that are living, that are individualized for a singular patient. So every batch is one patient dose, and that has been incredibly complex, and with a circular supply chain that starts and ends with the patient. This is something that we've never had to tackle before and has been vexing for us as an industry. What we are seeing at Ori now in particular, as you know, we have an automation platform that we are working with some of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world, who are the only ones who've really felt the pain of trying to commercialize an ex vivo autologous cell therapy. And they've spent billions of dollars on manufacturing capacity, on technology, on trying to make these products work, and have really struggled as the pioneers. They've been, investing and investing and investing. And we're seeing, unfortunately, some of the products that are in the market kind of level off or decline, treating fewer patients year over year because of these inherent structural challenges. And so we're excited that there may be an opportunity for us over the coming 6 to 9 months to go with a partner to the agency to talk about modernizing their process. How do we take a process from where it is today, where it may be the COGS may be too high, or the throughput may be too low, or the variability of the process may be too high, and how do we modernize that, take it to the next step, where we might be able to say, okay, we can improve the cost of goods profile, we can improve the number of doses that we can produce, and or improve the reliability of the manufacturing process. And these are things that the agency wants. If you're the FDA or the EMA, these are things that manufacturers want, and these are great for patients. So we have more doses and potentially that are more cost effective within the context of the payer landscape. So I think in the next 1.5 to 2 years, you'll see a revolution really in how we manufacture these products, and you'll begin to see alternative delivery models. So you mentioned distributed manufacturing has been a concept really up until now. So the MHRA was kind of pioneering in the regulations they put out early last year, I want to say February time, but it hasn't really been uptaken yet. We haven't really figured, okay, that's the regulation, but how do we put it into practice? And we're actually applying for a grant in the UK to demonstrate a proof of concept for multi-site manufacturing using the Eero technology. Because ultimately, to do distributed manufacturing well, we have to be able to show that we can make the same safe and effective product in multiple locations. And that's the essence of the challenge, is that quality assurance piece. How do we manufacture GMP, a high quality product that's safe for patients, but do it in a decentralized way? And the answer up until now has been we can't. But with automation and digitization, they're an absolute requirement for us to manufacture in a distributed model. And we're very excited to pioneer this over the coming years.
We're getting there. You see many automated systems, you see digital batch records increasingly. You see a desire, first of all, to embrace this and to move to technology really enabling scalability. But we're not quite there. And I think we need to not think about the future being as bigger factories, but more about how do we introduce reproducibility across sites, control and security, as well as standardization for any process that we need to do for patients.
I think this has been a theme in the industry for quite some time. Automation is necessary, not only to scale, but in order to have more reproducible product as well, especially for advanced therapies where there's so many different puts and takes in the process. And so there are advancements that are being made. At the same time, we continue to advance the science. And so the science tends to be a little smarter than the engineering. However, I think we have a lot of incredible innovators and tool providers that are looking to bring the right tools as these processes evolve. And I'm quite bullish on some of these technologies and how they can get incorporated. So that will be very important and helpful in scaling these processes. But then we also need to think of what does that mean, not only from a centralized perspective, but in how and where we manufacture. You have to have some redundancy. To truly only centralize does put risk in the supply chain. So that consistency is extremely important in how you manage your process. The automation will help, but even more importantly, in my opinion, is the analytics that need to happen in hand, such that you have enough comparability so that you can do the manufacturing in more than one location. But also, as the science advances and you make changes to your process, you have to be able to scale that as well. And so the automation, the analytics, all have to go hand in hand.
The scalability is certainly a challenge right now, especially in the autologous side of things. And so what we are seeing is great advancements in automation and improvements in taking functionally closed systems and actually making them closed. And so this is going to significantly help with that scalability. It's going to reduce your cost of goods, and it is going to dramatically increase or decrease rather your turnaround time for the programs.
I think we are all going there, but I think there is still a gap we need to cover. Tools like the AI are definitely of importance, and we all need to go through that. I think there is a challenge we need to speed up so that we all benefit from that.